Welcome back to the Wibawa Mukti Stadium in West Java. It's halfway through the opening game of the day in Group D. And it's been a one-sided first 45 minutes. Japan, in a change strip of all white today, have come out and really inflicted a little bit of misery on Pakistan. 3 goals very early on, another added later on in the first half. They lead by 4 goals to 0. And it really has been a lesson in finishing from Hajime Moriyasu's side. And we talked about what Nogueira, Adam Virgo alongside me, by the way, today. We talked about what Nogueira might say at half-time. You know, what does, Moriyasu say? Does he say, look, I want you to go out and get more goals, keep the momentum going? Or, OK, well, we've won the game, let's conserve our energy. We've got another game in 3 days' time. It's a slightly awkward one. It'll be interesting to see how it does pan out.
Yeah, it is a difficult one. We've seen quite a few games now where the stronger countries have collectively a lot of goals before half-time, and they go in with a pretty safe scoreline, and then they don't really tend to add to that. It's very, very difficult to do the same again second half as what you did first half, because you have more energy. It's a different style of play when you first start, but I think you'd be just saying, just keep doing what you're doing, keep the same things of what you're up to. And if the goals do come, great. If not, don't give away a sloppy goal, which I don't think they will do. Don't give away silly free kicks and maybe pick up a needless yellow card. And just maybe reserve the energy. Nothing's going to happen for the last 20 minutes.
Referee gets us underway then for the second half. It's Japan all in white, kicking from left to right in the second 45 minutes, leading by 4 goals to 0, as we say. And very much on the verge of booking their place in the next stage of the competition. Vietnam against Nepal comes later. If Vietnam win, they also will go through. But potentially Pakistan or Nepal, if they could win their final game against each other, if there's a positive result in that game, they could still find themselves one of those sides going through as one of the best third-place teams. Long way to go, though. It's Nakayama. Tate. Youngest squads in the tournament, Japan. 8 of their players in the starting lineup born in 1997, 3 in 1998. They're belying those years at the moment against the Pakistan side that does contain a couple of overage players. Saddam Hussein, the captain, being one of them. We've seen some quite high-profile players in this tournament. Son from South Korea, the Tottenham midfielder, is probably the highest profile of the overage players at this Asian Games. It's the last Olympics, Neymar led Brazil to victory after the disappointment of the 2014 World Cup. But Japan opting to stay with their youngsters with those Olympic Games in mind in 2020. They just missed out on a medal in London 2012, finished in 4th place. Beaten by South Korea in the bronze medal match. They have gone with the same coach for Olympic and World Cup squads before. Some 20 years ago, the Frenchman Philippe Trousier was entrusted with trying to get Japan success in major tournaments. To reach the quarter-finals in the 2000 Olympics under Trousier and the round of 16 in the 2002 World Cup. And they co-hosted, of course, with South Korea, who had such a wonderful tournament under Gus Hiddink. Kamiya. Nakayama. Saki, a couple of goals to his name, arguably the goal of the game so far in that first half. Lovely ball stumped forward, flag stayed down. It was Naganuma that was in behind the defenders. I think the flag has now, the referee certainly given a free kick now to Pakistan.
Good positive start getting forward. Naganuma. Wing-backs going to be very, very important now in this second half. Endo on that left-hand side, Naganuma on the right-hand side. There'll be acres of width out there. Pakistan will just stay narrow and conserve the 18-yard box.
He's got a big job on his hands, Jose Antonio Nogueira. Just a handful of teams below Pakistan in the world rankings. They're 201 in the world. Mansour trying to get on the end of that long ball forward. Matsumoto. Lovely long raking ball out to Endo. Inside a corner. Quality of the Japanese passing has been exceptional so far. Endo and Naganuma getting licence to get forward, being the two wing-backs. Camille with the corner. Delivery from those set pieces has left a little bit to be desired. Camille rather has taken the corners from both sides, but he's missed the first man yet, has he?
Yeah, it's not been great from set plays. I think playing a short one and then getting Pakistan out of their areas and zones will be, I think, more beneficial than just putting the ball into the box. The delivery hasn't been quite right.
And that time failing to get the ball past Hayat. Nice to see some of the younger Indonesians coming in to watch the football. 5:10 in the afternoon local time. Because you always hope, you know, the big thing with these games, be it Asian Games, Olympic Games, you always hope that you leave some kind of sporting legacy behind as well, that more people take up sports. I mean, 42 different sports, 484 events in the Asian Games and 46 member countries taking part. You know, there really is something for everybody to enjoy in these multi-sport events.
Well, it is, and I think it's important that the Games does leave a good legacy. In the end, to see what, look at London 2012, what that left for England in terms of moving on as a country in terms of sport.
Chipped across by Naganuma, Maeda's header, good save Sakib. Wasn't much pace on the header, it was made a little bit easier for the goalkeeper because of that, but he still had to get across. Inches away from his second goal of the game.
Yeah, it was a decent ball in, it was a decent save as well, he moved his feet brilliantly. Quite a few times Naganuma's got into a good position but not really hit any real quality. Just couldn't quite get the power on the header to head it down, but take nothing away from Sakib. It was a great save from him, moved his feet really well, heads it down.
Iwasaki. 2 goals in the first half. Kamiya, Maeda again the target. Marshall that time by Hassan, who got the final touch, so another corner to Japan. You hear some great stories as well in this competition. You know, a lot of these nations are you know, not as rich as others, and players who start early on playing with balls of string or balls of straw in the street and progressing through the ranks, and really a lot of countries are dreamed to come and play in a big tournament and compete at the highest level, whether you're ranked 201st in the world or first in the world.
I think sometimes, say, the lesser nations just may need one superstar to come out of it to try and pull the nation along and say, look, this is what you can get to, this is what you can do.
Can Kamiya miss out the first man this time? Better delivery. Well, the goalkeeper just lost it slightly, manages to gather it. A little bit of a mix-up there between Ali and Sakib. A bit fortunate there.
Yeah, not the most convincing punch from it. Ali just in his way, but he may have just hurt his forearm. He went into the defender.
I have to say, in the 2 games played so far, I don't think I've ever seen a goalkeeper go down injured more times than Sakib. I think he had treatment 4 times in the opening game. This is possibly the 3rd time the trainer's been onto him in this one. Obviously bruises easily.
Yeah.
That was the opening goal from Iwasaki. Got him behind the defenders brilliantly. 2 very good finishes from Iwasaki in this game. Maeda also getting in on the act. Iwasaki's 2nd of the game. Brilliant touch inside the penalty area. Sign of the quality in Japan's side. They played at the Toulon tournament in France, which is a very high-profile youth tournament these days, and beat Portugal, who were always one of the top-ranked European nations. Joint hosting cities for the first time in the Asian Games, Jakarta and Palembang. We're just on the outskirts of Jakarta here in West Java. 5 centres being used for the football, Palembang being one of them. It's a rare touch for Kojima and not a great one. And a rare shot from Pakistan, but again another one that fails to register on target from Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. Fairly speculative, but poor goal kick from the keeper. Doesn't really get the best connection on it, but again another shot from distance, which is pretty woeful.
Maeda. Led by Yunus. Numa with a throw. Matate. Endo. Had to pull a shack out wide, and Hassan going across to get a challenge in as well.
Certainly an area I think Japan could really capitalise on in this second half. Naganuma, Endo, 2 wing backs in particular. See what they're doing, moving the ball, switching it very quickly. Suppose they haven't gone for a short one, because he's 3 or 4 corners now that haven't really come to nothing.
Goes to the goalkeeper last time. So Virgin have gone short. Kamiya. Hoisted long, but hoisted too long towards Itakura, the captain.
You see the goals that Japan have scored earlier, it's all because of the movement that Pakistan can't cope with. So when you hit 3 or 4 bad corners and you're standing there trying to go and win your header, if you just play it short, then Pakistan have to squeeze out, and all of a sudden you can get better movement. What they tend to do is ball watch and not mark the man. So I think Japan will do more short corners in the second half to try and create a bit more space or a different angle to get across in.
Good ball from Ashak Mansour. Challenged by Amanami. Looking for any positives really to take out of the game, Pakistan.
Well, I mentioned when you asked me just before the end of the first half, going to the first 15 minutes of the second half, and they've been okay. That's a positive. That's their second shot now. Okay, albeit one from distance, it was a bit speculative. That time was a little bit more difficult.
Still not tested the goalkeeper though, Kojima. Itakura. Tate. Matsumoto. Amanami. Itakura. Son gets there ahead of Maeda. And back again there by Japan. Itakura. Kamiya. Still a good work rate by Japan. Very keen to win the ball back if they lose it inside the Pakistan half. Not giving things up at the moment. Amanami. 4-0 Japan lead. Here's Maeda. Just ran it slightly too far ahead of himself. Thought that might have gone out, but referee only gives a throw. Touch was just a little bit heavy from Maeda.
A little bit heavy touch, but it was a difficult running touch to kind of make.
Another corner. Lost count of the amount of corners Japan have had in this game. Managed to really capitalise on any so far. Short to Maeda. Kamiya. Naganuma. Naganuma once again with a little bit of space to work in. Goes for that diagonal ball, lovely ball as well to pick up Maeda. Touch just let him down. Hayat's able to clear the ball away, but the offside flag had gone up a little bit late going up on this near side, but it was a lovely angle ball from Naganuma. That Vietnam against Nepal comes up in about an hour and 40 minutes time. Second bunch of teams in Group D. So a win for Vietnam would put them through. A win for Nepal give them a chance of making it through. A better than good chance probably as well. And Vietnam would have to play Japan in their final game, which could be somewhat problematic. Interesting to see Japan's mindset if they do win this one and go through, but I was thinking if I was a coach and if I was a player, I'd want to be taking a good momentum. I wouldn't want to take my foot off the gas. I'd want to be going in with 3 wins behind me and people saying, right, these guys are one of the favourites now.
Oh, definitely. It sends a message out to the rest of the tournament, scoring goals against weaker opposition, and we've seen other countries that really struggled to get past these, say, lesser nations with an abundance of goals.
Pakistan have got a free kick. They might have to attack this one without Arslan, I think, who's just taken a knock to the eye, so made it a little bit of treatment. Just a slight cut, I think, under his eye. Japan will be keen to keep a second clean sheet in the competition. Mansour with a free kick. There's big appeals for handball from Pakistan. It's Matsumoto that made the clearance. So we'll look and see what this struck. It would have been a very harsh penalty if the referee had seen that as a handball. Just hit Matsumoto, didn't know anything about it. Big rows in the handball rules, of course, at the World Cup. I noticed the English Premier League have opted to be a little bit more lax in their handball decisions inside the penalty area. It's one of those, this unnatural position, and a couple of penalties given even after the referees looked at it by VAR, which you would probably say, well, you know, that's a little unfortunate, because how do you get out of the way of it?
It's a rule that's baffled me. I'm talking as an ex-player now. When you go and close the ball down, there's never intention in my mind to deliberately handball the ball if it gets crossed in. You go out to go and close it down, and you go and close the ball down, or if a cross comes in and it hits your arm and it's five yards away from you, that you can't do anything. It's different when it's going towards goal and you stick your arm out to stop it going in. To me, that is deliberate handball. But as an ex-player, very, very rarely do I see players deliberately handling the ball, an intention, say, I'm going to handball it to stop the ball going through. Very rarely it actually happens.
It's certainly an interesting one, and I'm sure one that will be contested a lot over the course of the coming seasons.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them rules that if it hits your hand, regardless if it's deliberate or not, it's a penalty. Then it kind of gets the rule out of everything of, well, was it deliberate, was it not?
Injury here to Mansour, just a touch of cramp, having burst forward and finding that shot from probably about 40 yards out. Don't want to dwell on the VAR, but just very quickly, is it something you're in favour of, or would you rather the game stick to its traditions of unpredictability?
I've probably, like you've done last season, a lot of VAR games that I was involved in. The problem is that it may not just suit the game of football. When you look at maybe cricket, where it's a little bit slower, where you have time to look at it, you have Hawkeye that sometimes takes the decision out of a human's instinct, and that's the problem now, is that the referee doesn't know. You're then going up to a consortium of people now to make a decision on a human reaction, and I think goal line technology has helped. I think misidentity of a player can certainly help, but I still think there's a long way to go for VAR to work in football. You only have to look at the World Cup final, won't you, when that penalty was given. Half of the people say yes, half the people say no. That's where we are at the moment.
Certainly an interesting debate for the future, and of course if you implement it at a national, international level, then all the countries in the world have to adopt it, and then you have the cost of the technology itself. But no VAR here, it's purely down to the referees, who've actually done a pretty good job so far. No really contentious decisions, certainly in the games that I've seen in the tournament. Here comes Japan going in search of a fifth goal. Taken by Sakib. Safe handling that time by the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Even in the second half now, if I was a Pakistan player, take your time with throw-ins, take your time with free kicks. If I was Sakib now, I'd keep the ball in my hands, and the referee even take a yellow card. You know what I mean? Just, it might weigh down a few seconds. Fatigue is now certainly creeping in, so what you don't want to do is collect the ball and then boot it 40 yards down the field and not even relieve any pressure.
We're into the final quarter of the match. It's one thing that you notice with the high humidity here in the heat as well. A lot of cramp creeps in later stages of the game, and some of the games just tend to become a little bit scrappy at this point with sort of 20 minutes to go. That's when you tend to see the majority of your substitutions coming in.
But also what happens is, well, these are young players that start at a very, very high pace. I've never seen you know, the fitness levels continue in the second half, and you do drop off, and that's only natural for young players. That's when you go into those first teams and you have a mixture of experience as well. Then you conserve your energy when to go, when not to go. The fact that the games have been quite one-sided for a lot of the stronger nations, you know, a lot of their energy is used up in the first half.
Nakayama, Kamiya, Itakura. Japan's still looking quite fresh at the moment. Mansour. Stabbed out by Endo. We're now going to see the first substitution. It's going to be Arslan that's going off. And Mohamed Bilal is the player that's coming on. I just took that knock in the face a moment or so ago. You can just see a little bit of swelling under his eye there. Probably why they've decided to bring off Arslan. Not rushing himself, is he? He needs the time waste. So Bilal comes on. First change made by either side. Saw just allowing the ball to run out of play. Matsumoto. Kamiya. Itakura. Kamiya. Betate. It's a slip by Ali. Persistence by Naganuma. Betate. Good sliding challenge by Yunus to concede the corner.
Defending there from Yunus comes along, reads the danger well.
Once again, it's Kamiya who's, I think, taken every corner so far for Japan. Giving the ball away too often today, Japan, but when they have, they've managed to win it back fairly quickly.
One of the big things I noticed in the first half was their work rate to win the ball back quickly as possible. It's a great sign of the game to have as well. It's great when you've got the ball and you're passing the ball well and you're dominating the game, but that desire to go and win the ball back as quickly as possible when you don't have it.
So Kamiya, who's been excellent in midfield, has done his job and done his job well. It's Teriki Hara that comes on, the man from Ilbirix Niigata. Part of that squad that won the Under-16 AFC Under-19 Championships a couple of years ago. Kamiya really has been excellent. I was about to say to you, actually, if we were in the business of picking men of the match, I certainly think Kamiya, despite the fact he hasn't scored, would have been up there for his work through midfield today.
He did really well. I mentioned, I think, 35 minutes into the first half when you were talking about him. He just won the second ball. So when they did go long, and Pakistan won the header, he was the first person to pick it up, and so many times that keeps pressure on teams that you can't manage to get out. More of a defender, I think. Ikakura will now go into that midfield as the holding midfielder.
There's Kojima coming a long way off his line, and Mansour being penalised for the challenge, and he's the man who's come off worst. Certainly a long way ahead of his goal there, Kojima.
He won the ball, but Mansour was the one who just slid in. I don't quite know what he was trying to do there, sliding from that distance. If anything, it certainly was a foul on Kojima, the goalkeeper. That's twice now he's done that. He won in the first half where he was late and reckless, and this time he's done it again.
The referee's only given out the one yellow card so far to Hayat in the first half. Jamie Moriyasu there on the right looking on. Be a massive boost if his side could go all the way in this competition. The 2010 winners, runners-up to Iran in 2002. Paulo Bina Obi is the substitute goalkeeper on the bench for Japan. Hasn't had a lot to do, Kojima, to be fair to him. He has done well what he's had to do. That's a heavy coming together.
Well, it is, and you mentioned second half about Japan. What do you or not want to do? Concede a sloppy goal, pick up sloppy yellow cards, or pick up an injury to your number one goalie? A position he's hardly had a touch, but may end up coming off. It's an opportunity now for Obi to come on and take a place for the team.
A lengthy treatment for these two. Kojima's back on his feet. Mansour looks like he's probably going to be okay. Still limping quite heavily, the Japanese goalkeeper. Misaki's been another one of the stars of the show. Great movement.
It's a great first touch because it then takes out Hassan to come and make the challenge. All their goals today, Mark, have been of real quality, different kind of goals. This one, for me, is the pick of the bunch. As we were talking about earlier, maybe she could have gone to the right-hand side of the goal, but he doesn't. Two quick touches, short back lift. That's great power from him to get that short back lift and taking it past Saki.
It's a great shot window as well for some of these young players. I mean, Asia, when you look at European leagues, you know, we mentioned a couple of names earlier on from Japan. It's not an area that players tend to appear in European leagues, but clearly law of averages says by the size of population that there are a lot of talented players in Asia.
Oh, there will be, and you know, South Korea got to the semi-finals 2002. Japan have made the last 16 on a couple of occasions. The talent is there. I generally do. And as I mentioned about Shunsuke Nakamura, technically the best player I've ever played against, and I've seen Honda play at AC Milan as well. Another player, Park Ji-sung, is another player as a Manchester United. They do have their qualities. It's just a shame to see we don't. You're right. We just do not see enough of them in the big leagues, but definitely sure the talent's there.
It looks as though the Japanese goalkeeper Kojima is going to be playing no further part in the game. It will be Pal Obina Obi that comes on. Well, I hope that's nothing too serious. I know Kojima's not had much to do, but he is the number one goalkeeper for Japan. Let's see if Mansour can continue for Pakistan. It is the thankless job really in football, isn't it, being the backup goalkeeper? Some coaches do like to rotate, but yeah, some don't.
So even managers at the top level in the World Cup, as we saw, they rotated their team but kept the goalkeeper. Japan have done that today. Could have easily played Obi in goal today. Certainly they had too much to do, but still just a little bit of game time, feel of the ball in a match day situation.
Mansour's back on as well, by the way. Cleared away by Hassan. Very much a learning curve for these Pakistan players. Coach will be saying to them, you know, we have to respond against Nepal. It's our final game, it's our final chance to get through. Saddam Hussein. It's kicked by Hatate. So as we possibly hinted, the pattern of the game here, 4 goals in the first half for Japan. They've 10 minutes left in the second half. No addition to that score. Suddenly with a wild slash at the ball, which again goes down as a shot, but nowhere near the target. Maeda, looks as though Pakistan had won the ball back, but again Maeda's tenacity wins it back for his team. And Manami given away. I've not really had any luck in that final third today. Pakistan, there's Adil Ali that time, trying to burst forward. With a change for Japan, it's Endo that's going off this time. And Hatsuze is the player that's coming on. That's all 3 substitutions made now by Japan. Suze Hara and the goalkeeper Obi. Into the final 10 minutes then. Japan still leading by 4 goals to 0 and going through comfortably to the round of 16. 2 wins out of 2, having opened up with a victory over Nepal. Saddam Hussein. Bit of a tussle on the touchline. The 4th official was quick to prevent that going any further. Itakura. Nakayuma. Chase on for Hatsuze.
You were saying to me before, just before the first time, what Nagamo would be saying to Pakistan in the second half. They've come out, as I said before, the quality wasn't going to be there, but the work rate's been there. They've still worked hard when having, honestly, when you've been 4-0 down at half time, your mind goes, and you sometimes don't even want to come out for the second half, knowing it's going to be a long, hard draw to try and get on the ball or even get in the final third. I said, play the 15 minutes through the quarters, try not to concede a goal in the second half. That's a start. They're still working hard when they don't have the ball. Yes, the quality hasn't been there, and that was easily to see, but trying to look for positives, even small ones. They can take a great deal from these this part of the second half. They can get through the second half without conceding. That's something certainly to work on.
I'm sure the coaching staff will be sticking around to plot some tactics against Nepal, who play Vietnam next.
That's a game that you can go into thinking, right, can we pick up a win against Nepal? Yes, we can.
Worked its way through again towards Hatate. Just got it caught under his feet slightly. The defenders were always favoured to get that one away.
This is what we saw lots of times in the first half. Not really seen it enough in the second half. A little threaded through balls.
Hayat's clearance. Naganuma. Swinging by Iwasaki. Just too far away from Hatate. So the Asian Games opening ceremony taking place on Saturday, which will signal the full schedule of games getting underway. Of the games getting underway. A couple of demonstration sports for the first time taking part here. Esports, which is basically electronic gaming, and canoe polo.
You're good at that, esports.
FIFA.
Yep.
It's quite a strange one. Electronic gaming.
I think it's the way the world's going now, Mark. I think especially over here, especially in Asia. I mean, they're brilliant. They are brilliant.
Yeah, I think we were talking the other day, weren't we, about some of the sports sort of specific to Asia, really. Kabaddi being one which is massive in India. Sepak takraw is always another one that people like to watch at an Asian Games as well, because of the levels of skills that are involved and, you know, the agility involved in that. Anyway, compared to Sepak takraw, football's quite straightforward. Japan are making a fairly comfortable looking job of it at the moment. Hara. Nakayama. Hara once again the substitute. Omanami. Interesting to see as well as the competition progresses. There was a mistake here which Pakistan getting themselves into all sorts of trouble, and Riaz concedes the corner. Just talking about formation, will they stick with the three at the back, or will they go back to that flat back four? The three has worked very well for them today.
Well, it has worked, and okay, the opposition hasn't been great, but they used it to good effect. They played forward and back again in their first game against Nepal. They could only get the one goal earlier on. It'll be interesting to see what he does do. 3-5-2 formation is now coming more and more into play into the modern day game. It's 4-4-2, then a 4-2-3-1, and now 3-5-2 was very popular during the World Cup.
So Japan haven't really made the most of their set pieces. Kamiya, who'd taken most of them, has gone off, so it'll be Hattuze, his replacement, that takes this one. Good header away. Naganuma. Nakayama. Suze. Hara. Nakayama.
That's good defending.
It's Hatate the intended target, and he very nearly made contact as well.
Hey, yeah, got goal side really well. Sometimes you don't need to win the header, just put a little challenge in there. So fair play to it. Very easy just to switch off there, get full ball watching, he gets goal side well.
Approaching the final 2 minutes of the match.
Somebody expecting a fair bit of injury time.
Substitute keeper Obi that fails to keep that one in, so it will be a Pakistan corner.
Not bad from Japan. That's the first poor ball I've seen them play. A little bit tired. 88th minute. 21. I think that's a fair credit to their concentration. That was probably the first misplaced pass. Just for a little bit of fatigue there, but